Recording is on. Now coming back, what I was trying to show you is there is nothing like a useless feature. There is another perception in our minds that I only need to know basics, because what is my core role? I am finance, I am IT, I am marketing, I am relationship manager, I am branch manager, I am whatever. So as a finance person, you will want to go deeper into finance as a subject, HR as a subject, treasury as a subject. But what we don't realize is whatever we are calling advanced, which you are not trying to learn, is actually not advanced. You are calling it advanced, but you don't even know what it is. Then how can you call it advanced? So the convenience is, we think what we know is basic, and what we don't know, we should not call it ignorance. It sounds bad, right? So we give it a much bigger looking word called advanced. So remove this thought from the mind. The correct thought process is, let me first explore what is there and then decide whether it is useful for me. Fair enough? Understood? Okay. Next, how much time do we spend every day on Office? Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, whatever you do, how much time? 3 to 4 hours means 50% of work, all the business you do, 50% of that business somehow is happening through some Office products. Agreed? The remaining 50% is happening on face-to-face, core banking, all the applications which you have. All your business processes are very nice and optimized. Do you agree? And you are always striving to do more and more. So the kind of work we do is into two categories. Structured work which happens through core applications, and unstructured work which happens through Office tools. What do I mean by unstructured work? Handling mails, managing appointments, calendar, getting data, analyzing it, creating charts, making reports, all that is unstructured work. How to do core business is very well documented. How to create a presentation or how to analyze data is not documented. It is just left to individual skill. Do you agree? How many kinds of audits do you do? Yes, please.
As a responsible audience, I will request everybody to switch off your mobiles either or put in a silent mode. In case if you feel it is very important that you cannot do, then its solution is please leave the office. It is very, very important, and please, so much disturbance is not required.
No problems. So this is 50% job, this is 50% job. Let's assume this is very well done, but this is not even known how well or not well we are doing it. Have you done an audit of how people use Office? No, because everyone assumes everyone knows Office. And nobody is coming to IT or HR and saying, I can't do this, it's taking too long, can you help me? If that kind of escalation happens, I am sure someone will benefit from it. Do you agree? So now I'll give you an example of how much inefficiency can be there. Let me give you a very simple example. I am assuming all of you use Excel more. So let's take an Excel example. Let's say I have a lot of numbers here and I want to copy those numbers. These are transactions, let's say, and I have to pay some tax. So I will calculate tax in this column, and then total payable tax I want to calculate here. Is that a complicated calculation? No, you can do it in any version of Office. So here I will just do a sum of column B. Fair enough? And now I have to put a formula here. I will put a formula, let's say 3% tax. And then I have to copy the formula down. Is that a common activity? How will you do it? Okay, that's one method. One method is called drag. What else? Any other method? Double click. Very nice. Which one is better? But does everyone know double click? No. Ah, there is a third one. Yes, he is right. Now, there may be 3 methods, but what is the chance that a single person will know all 3 methods? There is some chance. Assume you know all 3 methods. Which one will you use? So, in a given situation, if there are multiple alternatives, you are smart enough to use the best, fastest, smartest way of doing it. Agreed? But if I don't know there is another method, what will I do? I will use that method because I know only one method. I don't know a benchmark of comparing it with something else. And that is what happens with Office. You may have discovered one way of doing it, that method may be working, but because product has enhanced over a period of 10-20 years, the method which was the best way of doing it in 2003 may be the worst way of doing it today. So now, if I tell you none of these methods is efficient, then what will you do? There is a fourth method, which is fastest. Can anyone tell me fourth method? I don't have any prizes to give for quiz, but I'm sure everyone will clap for you. Tell me the fourth best method. Now this question is for people who are using 2007. Because this feature was introduced in 2007. So let us look at the problem. Obviously dragging is a lengthy process, correct? Yes or no? Yes. So now if I know dragging, lifelong I am going to do dragging. So if the data was only 10 rows, how much time will I take to drag? Say 3 seconds, correct? If this was 10,000, how much time will it take? Understand? That 7 minutes, is it useful or useless? When you do process improvement exercise, what do? You look at a process, someone who is an expert in the field comes and sits there, identifies each step of the process, finds out where time wastage is happening, where duplication is happening, which part can be eliminated or automated, and then we find out before time and after time, and that incremental improvement is called business process reengineering. I'm sure you do that for many things. But that concept has not been applied to office. So it's not that you don't know how to do it, it's just that we have not thought it is worth doing it for office. So let's look at this. Dragging is obviously inefficient. Double click seems to be efficient because when I go to this corner and double click, it actually goes all the way down. Now some of you may not have known double click, now you know. So now nobody is going to drag, do you agree? But if you had not attended this session, people who knew only dragging would continue dragging. Is it objectionable? No, because everyone in the world does it. But when you are dragging, whose time is getting wasted? Your time. Now how many different activities do we do using Office? Hundreds of different things we do using Office. Even if you have say 10 experts in Office within the organization, they decide to sit behind every user and try to find out what they are doing inoptimally and try to improve that. Is it practically possible? You simply don't have the manpower to do it. Now, we have never done an audit, but even if we attempt to do an audit of thousands of users, it's not going to work. But there is something else you can do. You want to improve? Then you have to take the initiative. Don't wait for someone else to come and do it, because who is suffering first? You, and then as a result the organization. But let's try to focus on self right now. Everyone wants to grow. Am I correct? So what is self-audit? Now onwards, when you go back and start working on Office, even if you know one method of doing something, try to think how exactly you are doing that activity and try to judge for yourself, is it efficient or not. But that's difficult, because if you know two methods you can compare. If you know only one method, what do you compare it with? That's the problem. So I already told you the solution. What is the solution? Look at the time required or effort required. Small data, small time. Large data, exponentially more time and effort. That means your method is inefficient. Even if you don't know what is the efficient method, at least you are better off now because you know that activity is inefficient. You will make some effort to find the more efficient method. Agreed? So now let's look at the double click part. If I do double click, what happens? I just showed you it goes all the way down, which is a good thing. But unfortunately, double click should never be used. It's eminently better right now, but I'm telling you, don't use double click. Why is that? Yes. Now, if you are unlucky, and when it comes to data, we are always unlucky, there will be a gap somewhere. And then you are going to pay this much tax, so you will double click here and pay this much tax. Because last time double click worked, like every time you are not going to check whether it reached the end. And this poor thing is guessing where your data ends. Now you have a compliance issue. Are you understanding how delicate the situation is? So not knowing how to use Office correctly is the biggest operational risk in the world, not just for banking and finance, but any industry. Because it's not only wastage of time, it is hampering business interests. Are you getting it? So now why didn't this guy understand? Why did Excel stop at the blank cell? Think about that. Why did Excel stop at the blank cell? Because what did we tell Excel? Try to copy the formula as much as you can. We didn't tell Excel explicitly till which row to copy. So now Excel is guessing. And Excel has to guess means it thinks gap means data is finished. Understand the problem? So it's ambiguous, dangerous, risky. So you should not do it. Never use double click. But then if you don't want to use double click, there has to be a better way of doing it. So what is the better way? We have to be able to tell Excel an explicit way in which where my data begins and where it ends. How do you do that? This is not possible to do in 2003. In 2010 or 7, you go and explicitly select the data till the end first time. Manually, first time you'll have to do it manually. There is no choice. So this is my data. I selected it manually. Unfortunately, selection is temporary. We want to make it a permanent selection to tell Excel, this is my data. Don't bother about gaps. How do you do that? So we go to Insert tab and choose Table. So we are creating a table containing one column and 7,000 rows right now. Everyone knows what is a table in Word and PowerPoint, but in Excel this was a new concept introduced in 2007. So when you click on this, it becomes a table. What does the table mean? It has some formatting like this, automatically done. If you want, you can change the colors. Now BOB is orange color, you want orange, you can do that very quickly. So time wasted in manual formatting is saved, but that's a minor benefit. Now I'm going to add the calculation for tax. Now notice what it does. It doesn't take A2. It says take the current row amount column. So the formula is also more readable. And then I put the same formula, 3% tax. And now notice that the table is just one column, column A right now. When I press enter, notice what Excel does. It adds that column, formats it, and copies the formula all the way down, irrespective of how many gaps there are in the data. Is that useful? Now those who are using 2007, if you had not attended this session, what was the chance of you discovering and using it? Very low, isn't it? Now that we know it, who should use it? Everyone. So now that brings us to another thing. If you explore what is available and then do this, it may be that you realize the benefit, but you also realize that thousands of people around you don't ever are going to know about this benefit. So what do we do about it? We have to proactively go and tell them that. What is that called? A policy or a standard operating procedure. How many standard operating procedures do you have? Thousands of them. Everyone has to follow them. Someone who is an expert in the field makes it to reduce risk of people misusing that information or doing it in the wrong way, and everyone follows it. Not only do you do that, there is someone checking whether people are following procedures, and if not, there is some kind of action taken, and there is someone doing checks and balances. The same concept has to be applied to Office. Now let's see what happens. I want this table to have a name. This is a column name, amount and tax. I can also go and give a name to the table. This is table menu now, and I will call it transactions. Good? You cannot have apostrophe, that's why it's shouting, so I'll just give a simple name. Now what is the benefit of giving a name to this table? Let's say this was your raw data, and on another sheet you want to know total amount and total tax. How will you do that? In the normal course, what would you do? You will say go to new sheet. This is the summary sheet or report sheet, whatever you call it. Total amount. What formula will you put? Equal to sum. At this stage you are on a new sheet, far away. At this stage you may have forgotten where exactly is my data, correct? And there are many sheets, and now you are struggling to click on each sheet and figure out where the raw data is. Does that happen? Yes or no? Yes. Now we don't have to do that. Now in new version, you must have noticed that whenever you start typing a formula, it actually shows you the functions which start with those characters. So you don't have to type the whole thing. So I say sum, it shows me all the sum formulas. But now I need to tell this guy where is my data. Rather than me searching for it, I have already given a name for it. What was the name? Transactions. So the moment I start typing T, it shows me all the functions starting with T. If I say TR, it shows me functions starting with TR and the tables which are starting with TR. So now I say transactions. But your data may have 50 columns, 100 columns. Do you remember all the column names? No. So when you open a square bracket, it shows you the columns inside. This is the formula now. Is that better than saying sheet 3 exclamation mark A1 colon A7023? So the person who is typing the formula also benefits. The person who is understanding or auditing the formula also benefits. Is that useful? Now, this is one benefit we got. If everyone in the organization, whoever has 2007, when you go back, are you going to use it or not? Will it save some time for you? Because copying a formula, adding formulas is a very common day-to-day activity. So let's do some quantification now. Let's say using this feature alone, you saved some time. How much time should I put? Give me a conservative number in minutes. Give me a number. There is no right or wrong answer. 30 minutes. But I'll take a very conservative number. Let's say 7 minutes. Is that fair? And then how many people use it? How many people will benefit from this feature? Give me a number. Ballpark number. Why? Because 2007 is there only with 400 people. Is that so? But let's assume everyone has 2007. Then what would be the number? Okay, for argument's sake, you will take 10,000. And number of working days. Yeah, but what are the working days? Remove all the holidays, compliance leave, personal leave, all that. Let's say 200. Is that fair? So this is minutes, this is people, and this is days. So how will I do the total time saved? It's a simple multiplication. Agree? Now how do we do multiplication? Even that we do inefficiently. How will anybody in the world do multiplication? This, asterisk this, star this, correct? It works unfortunately, but is this the best way? If there are 7 things to be multiplied, you will do 7 asterisks, 6 asterisks. So this is again a method of self-audit. If any activity you are repeating more than twice, that means that is inefficient. You don't need an external consultant to tell you that, you are the consultant. So don't do this. There is a function. Product. Everyone probably knows this function but never used it. Done. So what do we got? What have we got? Minutes. Let's convert it to hours, which is easy. Just divide by 60. And let's convert it to days. Divide by what? 200 days in a year. So 1000 extra person days available in the organization, assuming 10,000 people are affected just by using one feature correctly. Is that good or bad? Show me one technology which can give such a large scale benefit with very little extra effort. And we have just considered one feature. There are 9,000 waiting to be exploited. Is that good or bad? Now here I am assuming that we work for 8 hours a day. Correct? Sorry, I'll say this divided by 8. Sorry. These many days of saving. But do we work for 8 hours or sometimes 9 hours also? Sometimes 9 hours? Sometimes 10 hours? Yes or no? So that means more benefit. So this is how effective this is. This will translate into a man year saving or person year saving of 145 years. It's like having 145 new people recruited in the organization at no extra cost. Okay, so now let's look at something more dangerous in Excel. As I said, using Excel is a very big operational risk. And why is that? Let me show you. This is my file. I created it. I put some data. I put some formula. So far so good. Very easy. I also put the same formula somewhere else for other calculations. Same formula. What is the formula? Sum of C7 to C10. Nothing wrong right now. I save the file on some server. Another person from my department, can they open the file? Yes or no? Because they need the same data for some other calculation. So someone else opened the file and added one more formula. Is that common? Okay. So far no problem. Now next month what is going to happen? I am going to add the May value. And when I add the May value, is it going to change the formula? Or I have to change the formula? I have to change it manually. Correct? Everyone knows that. All spreadsheets work like that. So I will go and change the formula from 10 to 11. Now everything is okay. What will I do next? I will save the file and close the file. Is that correct? That is what happens, but is that correct? No, because I forgot some formulas I had put 6 months back, and I definitely don't know someone else has added a formula which depends on my data. So what happens now? What happens now? If that someone opens that file later, that person has no clue that I have added May value. This person is going to assume this number is correct and take a decision. Is this number correct? No, it's not correct. It's absolutely wrong number. So if you use a wrong number to take a decision, even if you are expert in the field, your decision is wrong, your planning is wrong, your forecasting is wrong, whatever you are doing is wrong. Are you understanding the problem now? That's why I call it the biggest op risk. Who is going to check every formula? Nobody has the time. Even an auditor doesn't have a time to look at every formula in every Excel file. It's impossible. So whose fault is it? Human or Excel? Whose fault is it? It is very tempting to say Excel, I understand, but unfortunately Excel is doing its job. You asked only 4 cells. It is doing the job correct mathematically. The fact that you added something in C11 is an operational issue. It's not a technical issue. But even then, Excel is trying to give you a warning. Where is that warning? Excel is actually telling you don't trust that number. That number has a problem. Go there, correct the problem, and then trust that number. Where is that warning? Where is that warning? That green mark is the warning. Now in 2003 also this green mark is there. When you see a green mark, normally what do we do? Do we do anything? No, we ignore it. Why? Because we already have the same mindset. What I don't know, I don't need. So now our rule has changed. If I don't know something, maybe it is for use of some use to me. Let me explore and then decide whether it's useful or not. So click there. Now what happens? This icon comes. These kind of icons come in many places. Do you like them or you hate them? Most people get very irritated when such icons come. Whenever you do copy, paste, drag, these icons keep coming. You have no clue why they come, so we ignore them. So for 15 years, Microsoft is trying to show you such icons, and Microsoft knows that 1 billion people in the world get irritated by those icons. Why are they not removing this feature? Why would any vendor want to irritate the entire audience? Why has Microsoft not removed this irritating icon from the product? It's very easy for them. They know you hate it. So they are hoping that at least out of hatred you will click on it. And if you click, then you will suddenly realize this guy is useful. It's telling you the problem and giving you the solution. It's telling you, I know the problem, I am telling you the problem, I am also capable of solving the problem, just allow me to do it. Without your permission, Excel cannot change a formula. That's why it has to do like this. So when I do that, it has automatically updated it. And now there is no warning because the number is correct. And that's how you eliminate operational risk of wrong decisions and guarantee accuracy of every calculation. Make sense? Useful or not? Now this is good, but now it has actually increased your problems in life, because till now you are happily ignoring those green marks. Now when you go back, you will see hundreds of such green marks on every file. Now you can't ignore it, you can't forget that it is important. So now if you see a green mark, will you click on it or not? But that is not enough. There may be green marks far away, you don't see them, so can we leave it now? It is in our interest to look for them proactively and correct them. So if you send a proposal outside, you do spell check in Word. Same thing has to be done for Excel. For every Excel file, before you start interpreting anything, you have to actually go and do what? Error checking. How do you do that? We don't know where errors are. Who knows? Excel knows. So ask Excel. So what do? You go to Formulas tab, and on Formulas tab you will see error checking. Okay? In 2003, tools and error checking. So when you say error checking, Excel will take your cursor to first cell it finds, allow you to correct it, then it will move to the next cell, again you correct it, move to the next cell. When all of them are done, it will tell you now you are safe as far as this sheet is concerned. It has to be repeated for every sheet of every Excel file if you want accurate numbers. Useful? Is this saving any time? No. By itself it is not saving any time. In fact, it is increasing the work you have to do, because you have to go and do error checking. But is it important? Yes, because it's not saving time, it is saving business now. It is even more important. So what do? Whenever you open a file, error checking. Mandatory. Done. Now we are okay. What is going to happen in June? When I add June data, all the formulas will again go outdated and the green marks will reappear everywhere. Again I will have to do one more round of error checking. Is that sounding very useful and efficient? No. First time error checking we are willing to do because we never did it before. But second time, third time, fourth time, whenever you add data, expecting to do error checking is irritating and time consuming and inefficient. So first time error checking, okay. Second time onwards, what would we ideally like to do? We don't want the errors to come at all. So we want to prevent those errors. Agree? So now we need to tell Excel, this is my formula. I will put one more formula here for demo purpose. I'll take average of the same things here. And now I want to tell Excel that now onwards you manage my formulas because you are better at it. How do you authorize Excel to automatically update your formulas? That is the question. And you already know the answer. What is the answer? Make it into a table. Very nice. So create it as a table. So what happens now? I have multiple formulas dependent on this. This is one. This is another. When I add more data, look at what happens to those formulas. Both formulas changed automatically. Not just these two. Excel knows all of them because it knows all the dependents. So all the formulas which depend on this cell will be auto updated by Excel. Whether you know about them or not doesn't matter. Excel knows. And if there was a linked file containing something based on this data, that would also get updated if the linked file was open. Useful? Any questions? Anything you want me to show again? Last step, how to show those arrows? How to make a table? Okay. So let's do that. Let me remove this table first. So I'll open the same file again and see what happens. This was my formula so far. First I do error checking. In this case there are no errors right now. So before more errors happen, I go to Insert tab and say Insert Table. It asks you one question: does your table have headers? Month is a header, revenue is the header. So it's okay. Done. That's all you have to do. Now onwards, whenever you do this, Excel will auto update the formulas. Is it clear now? This feature is available from 2007 onwards. This version is 13, but the feature is available since 7. So you already have it. So now who should know about this? Only people in this room? Or everyone? Everyone. So how are you going to educate everyone? You'll have to create a policy or a standard operating procedure for putting formulas in Excel, something which we have never done. But now that you know it, isn't it making eminent sense to do it? Because you don't want to wait for each of those thousands of users to suddenly learn this and then apply, because it's a risk for everyone, individual as well as organizational risk. And this is eliminating or mitigating that risk. So if you want to send a mail to everyone helping them understand how to do this, how would that document look? Let me show you. If you want to make a policy out of this, what would the policy look like? This is the policy. Whenever you open an Excel file, first do error checking, then go to the raw data and make it into a table, and then do whatever you want. Easy? But if I send this mail to everyone in the organization, will they understand these sentences? Why? Because they have not seen the demo. So just sending this document has no meaning. But along with this document, you attach a link to a short video which explains what I just did. Then everyone can learn it without coming to a classroom and start using it immediately. So even though they have 9,000 features and thousands of users, teaching them what is necessary is not necessarily a costly or complicated, lengthy process. Someone has to make these policies and distribute them to everyone. So if you send this mail with the video, maybe within a week everyone will start using it, making more accurate decisions. Is that a good benefit to have or not? So on the face of it, Office doesn't increase efficiency at all, but the moment you start exploring and applying it in the correct place, then things suddenly change for better. So you get immediate benefit and sustained benefit. Now new people join. I'm sure every day many new people must be joining. That must be a mandatory induction for them. Correct? So whoever joins also is equally productive from day one. Okay, so let's go further now. Another problem which is a very common thing in Excel is, what do we generally do in Excel? We get data from somewhere first. Without data, Excel is nothing. And then we use the data. What does use mean? It could mean making reports, analyzing charts, pivot tables, comparing budget versus actual, performance monitoring, whatever you may do. That is the actual use. So if you are working on Excel, what percentage of your time should go in using the data to your advantage? Ideally, 100% time should go in it. But does that happen like that? When you get the data, you look at the data, is it usable? Is it exactly in the format you want? How commonly do you get data exactly the way you want? Common or rare? Rare. So if data is not the way you want, you have to spend some time on cleanup, reformatting, copy pasting, rearranging, removing blank rows, all sorts of things you have to do. Now how much time does that take? Ideally it should not take any time if you get the data exactly the way we want, but in reality it is not 0 and 100. What is the correct picture? How much percent of time you spend in cleaning up data versus using the data? Is it 50-50? More than that. So it will be something like, agreed? So now here is another method of self-audit and improving your own inefficiency. I will give you one example. There is a feature in Excel called Go To. How many of you know Go To? Control G. So assuming there are around 100 people here, only 3 or 4 people know it. Fine. So let me show you what is Go To first, and then we will come back to the data cleaning problem. Now what kind of data do we have? Let's see that. What is Go To? Go To asks you where do you want to go, because Excel sheet can be very large. If I tell him go to a cell called H23,000, what will it do? It will quickly go to that cell. It's better than scrolling and searching for that cell. But when this is useful? When you know where to go. But how often do you know? Very rarely. So it doesn't sound to be very useful. Let's look at something else. What else is there? There is OK, there is cancel, and there is special. Now if you go to this dialog, what are the chances of you clicking on this button? 0. Why? Because our objective is very simple. What I don't know, I don't need. So because of that, what happens if by mistake you go there, what are you going to do first? If you see buttons like this, more, options, special, advanced, more advanced, our mind doesn't read the word more like more. It says more trouble, special trouble, advanced trouble. So first of all, we will not click on it. If by mistake you click on it, what will you do? Who wants more trouble? So run away. So now you must realize everything which is there is not more trouble, it is more benefits. It's just in your interest to find out what the benefit is, because that may not be easily visible there. So if you look at your keyboard, it looks like this. What happened there? Escape key is used hundreds of times every day, and which is the key which is never touched? Help. Why? Because we don't think we need help. So again, a very simple change in the way you look at Office, mindset change. Use this less and use this more. You will become more efficient. Good or bad? Do you like these slides? So I am not mentioning this, but you must be also simultaneously noticing that the presentation is not a regular boring bulleted presentation. It is very simple, but it has impact. So I am sure you spend a lot of time making presentations, and most presentations are boring unless proved otherwise. So how to make good presentations is also something you can parallelly run when I am showing this. Although I don't have time to show you exactly how I made each slide, at least you know what is possible. Alright, coming back. Now when you go to special, there are many things you can do. For example, now when you go to such places, you get confused and you press escape. Now we have decided not to press escape. So what do? Quickly read each item. It may make sense, it may not make sense, fine, but at least we are making an attempt. Does it make sense? Just by reading it, do you understand what it says? No. But we made an attempt. But it's not very useful. Why? Because there are individual words written here, correct? Constants, formulas, blanks, last cell, they don't seem to have anything in common. And human mind understands sentences better, not individual words. So how can you convert each of these items into a sentence? Then we will understand better. So what is the common thing? Select. So put select comments, select constants, select blanks. Now does it make sense? Like that you make sense. You don't have to go to help all the time. So now if I say select blanks, what do you think it will do? It will go and select all the blanks. That's how you explore and learn. What did we learn now? There is a way of selecting all the blanks. Fine. Step 1. Technically now you know how it works. But are you going to use it? Do you see any reason why you should use it? Why would you want to create select blank cells? There doesn't seem to be any practical reason why you would like to do that. So in spite of knowing the feature technically, you are never going to use it in real life. Agreed? What does that sound like now? That sounds like a useless feature. But I already told you there is nothing like useless. So how to make it useful? Think further. Right now it sounds useless, but Microsoft has given it. That means in some situation it must be useful. Maybe I have not encountered the situation, or I have not thought in that situation to use this feature. Why not? Because I didn't know that feature. But now that you know it, try to think, where can I use it? So I'll give you one example. Very often we get data from where? We get data from system. You go to system, banking application, go to reports, generate a report, and based on that report you want to make another report. So you dump that data into Excel and then work on it. Is that a common activity? So when you do that, it looks like this. Have you seen reports like this? Never mind what the data is, I am talking about the pattern. So there is tabular data, then there is a gap, then there is more tabular data, then there is a gap. What is that gap? It's a page, because it was a report designed for printing. So every page is separate. So this is the page header, which gives you some header information. Here it will give you some totals, subtotals, group totals, something like that. But when we want to analyze this data, we want only the tabular portion of it. We don't want the header footer. Agreed? And data has come like this. You have no control over it. So what do you do now? You spend time, select and delete for one page. Now, is it done? No, you have to scroll down, oh, another one. Will you do this? Does it sound familiar? So 10 pages, 1 minute. 100 pages, 20 minutes. Now you know why we go home late. Because half of the work is absolute waste of time for yourself. Forget the organization. Sometimes we notice that there is a problem. So nobody likes to delete 100 pages like this, but it has to be done because the next report can be only made when you clean up the data. So it's knowingly we are doing inefficient things. Do you agree? So what is the solution? When you find something is repetitive, don't do it. Try to find a better way. So look at each column and tell me which column will help us identify the rows which we want and rows which we don't want. Is column A helping us in deciding that? Or is column B is blank? Column C has a header but no data. What about column D? Column D seems to be useful. So scroll down and find such a column. Which column do we want to find? A column where if the cell is empty, the row is unwanted. If column D has a value, I want the row. If column D has empty cell, I don't want the row. Fair enough? And now we will select the whole column and ask Excel to select all the empty cells. And now you know how to do it. How to do it? Go to special blanks. And now that only blank cells are selected, obviously Excel will do it much faster than you can ever do. And then right click and say delete what? Delete entire row. And now whether it is 10 pages to be cleaned up or 10,000 pages, your work is not going to increase. Understood or not? This will work in every version of Office. Nothing is new. So when you go back, are you going to use this? And everyone else needs it. So this becomes a standard operating procedure for cleaning up unwanted rows from a report. So now that 7 minutes estimate, which was based on one feature, if you keep calculating every time saving, you'll have a huge number very quickly. You don't even have to go to 9,000 features. With 50 features also you can transform the organization, because suddenly you will get something which is in short supply. What is in short supply? Where is the shortage? Opportunity to grow is there. Customers are there. You have the funds to utilize. What is missing? Time. Because everyone already has so much work, so growth initiative will require more work but not more people every time. You cannot add. So existing people, if they save significant time, everyone is smart enough to use that time to their advantage. That's how efficiency can grow. Are you getting the concept now? So a tool which is there with everyone and everyone is wasting their time doing it, if you look at it seriously and apply it correctly, it becomes an enabler. It becomes a strategic growth tool. And what is the benefit of Office? Everyone benefits. If you automate one process, only subset of people benefits. Office is global benefit. Multiply by whatever 1,000 users you have. So it's very powerful. So that's one thing. So remember, whenever you are working on Excel, you have to think. What do we have to think? I showed you. Are we using the data correctly or not? Are we utilizing this well or not? That is the kind of activity we have to do. So now, what did I do just now? That 70% has become very little. Maybe 99% I am spending time on the usage of data and 1% on cleanup. Understand? If you are doing this manually, select rows, delete, which part of the body is being used? Which part of the body is being used? And if you use the data, which part of body is being used? If you use this more, you will grow faster. If you use this more, you will have arthritis. And you will go home late. Correct? So, that's another method of audit. When you are working, check the balance. Am I using too much of hands and brain is not getting the chance to be utilized? That means you are hampering your own growth. So you have to find a better way so that we can turn the tables like this. Make sense? So what am I telling you? I have very limited time. In 2 hours, I cannot show you everything that is there to show. So what am I really showing you? I am not showing you features. Why? Because we realized the problem about features. What was the problem about features? You remember? What was the problem? This is the problem. Now maybe I will show 30 features today, new. And then this will get reduced further, correct? This will increase by 30. But still there will be 6,820 things you will not know. Till now you are happily ignoring them, but now you are realizing what you are ignoring is very powerful. It is in your interest to learn it. But I cannot sit here for 3 months teaching you every feature. Probably this is the last training you are going to attend on Office. Do you agree? So rather than only teaching you a small new subset and telling you to be happy, what am I actually telling you? What am I showing you? How to learn on your own. But do you have time to learn? Right now you have taken out 2 hours, but if I tell you every day 15 minutes you spend on learning Office, is it practically going to happen? No. Even if boss says, Chalo, I'll give 3 days leave to learn Office because it is in everyone's interest. You may take the leave, but you will not learn. So the only method of learning is learn while you work, and that is what I am telling you. You become your own enabler, you become your own boss, you become your own auditor, find areas of improvement, learn around that area, improve it. Useful or not? And if you learn something, now when you go back and someone else in the organization sitting next to you is getting some file like this and those poor guys are manually deleting this, what will you do? What is the first thing you will do? No, first thing. Of course they don't know and you know, so what will you do first? You will laugh at them first, which is fine. You have earned the right to laugh at them. Now whether you laugh at them aloud or in your mind depends on who is reporting to whom. But after you finish laughing, you must realize that their inefficiency is also adding to yours because they are a part of the same team. So you will have to teach them. You can't tolerate inefficiency once you know a better method. Understand the concept? So you have to share it so that everyone grows together. They can also learn and teach you. So if there are thousands of people and thousands of features, it's not a big problem. Each person can divide the learning and teach each other. It becomes a collaborative learning exercise. Okay, so far so good. Now let's see, we have got data. Now, what is good data and what is bad data is another concept you must understand. If the data is directly usable, it is good data. If it requires cleanup, that means it is bad data. Fine. How many different formats of bad data can come? Unlimited number. How many good formats are there? Good format means data which will simplify working with no time wastage. One. Very nice. And what is that format? We already know. That is called a table. If the data can be converted to a table, it is called good data. If it is not convertible to table, it is called bad data. Understood the concept? So now it is in your interest to check as soon as the data comes, is it good or bad? If it is bad, what is the next step? Convert to good and then use it. Sometimes what we do, we get bad data, we continue to use in bad format, so everything goes for a toss. Exponentially effort increases, everyone suffers. Is this clear? So now I'll give you some examples of bad data and show you how to convert it to good data. So this is a budget. What do you do in a budget? We create a template like this, different expense headings, months, and send it to different people, and they fill it up and send it to you. Is it a common activity? Right now I'm taking budget as an example, but this can be done for many different kinds of data capture. Do you do this or not? Now what happens? People fill it, send it to you. So multiple people have sent you multiple files. For convenience I have put it in different sheets, but it could have been different files. You got the data. Now what is the next step? You have to consolidate the data and then look at the overall budget and then optimize it. Where is the brain required? For optimizing the budget, managing the cash flows, allocating correct requirements to each department, whatever it might be. Finding out where costs can be reduced. Understand? I am assuming you have the expertise to do that. But can you do that thinking unless you consolidate the data? No. So how do you consolidate this data? I have few rows, 12 columns and 4 sheets. Most of us would try to put a new sheet and try to put, okay, I'll put a formula here equal to first sheet D6 plus second sheet D6 plus third sheet D6 and then copy the formula. Correct? That is how your natural thought will be. Now the best part about Office is that whatever comes to your mind naturally is generally wrong. You don't have to think, just assume it is wrong or inefficient. You have to prove to yourself that whatever came to your mind first is actually efficient way. Because if you don't do that way, you may find a method that may be inefficient and lifelong you will continue with that. So what is the problem with this method? You know the problem. Let's go to this sheet and D6. What is this? April and insurance. Okay. I go to the next sheet D6. What is it? It is not April, it is Feb and advertising. So this is not going to give me correct results. In the third sheet it is Jan and insurance. No use. So now what do you have to do? You have to think now. Okay, what is there in row 5? Employee benefits. What is here? Employee benefits. What is here? Employee benefits. Like that. Oh, this is insurance. Now I am assuming 5 contains employee benefit. This one doesn't have it. So what should I do now? Select this whole data and move this one row down. Correct? Like that you will have to do a humongous amount of copy paste in every row, every column to standardize the columns. Then it's not enough. There is more trouble. What is the trouble? Sometimes people make spelling mistakes. Then what do? See, there is a spelling mistake here. You will have to correct those spelling mistakes. When it comes to company names, people names, all sorts of variations of spellings also come, which are not really mistakes, but Excel will consider them as separate entities. So this is not going to work. So if I ask you to do this consolidation for me with 4 sheets, few rows and 12 columns, how long will you take? How long? Give me a number. There is no right or wrong answer. Whatever your answer is wrong, so it doesn't matter. And don't feel bad. The entire world is working like this. 2 hours, 1 hour, depends. Now who will do faster? Whoever can copy paste faster wins. Is the brain being used anywhere in the process? No. In fact, it is waiting to be used, but we are not allowing it to do. So if I tell you, I will give you a faster way of doing it. Let's assume 1 hour on an average this will take. What will make you happy? 100% improvement? Means 1 hour to reduce to 30 minutes is good for you? Yes or no? Okay. So let's see how much I can do. I'll put a stopwatch. Now, how many of you use pivot table? Many. Okay. Have you seen this dialog before? I am sure you have. Yes or no? Have you seen this option? No. Have you used it? No. Use that option. The idea is very simple. You have to detect the work I am doing, is it dirty work or good work? Intelligent people don't do dirty work. That should be outsourced to Excel or Word or PowerPoint, whoever it is. So now Excel is asking me, don't do the dirty work, I will do it for you. Just show me the data. So I have this data in 4 sheets. So I go to each sheet one at a time. And what do? I select the data and add it. How am I selecting the data? Did you notice? How? How am I doing it? How would you do it? You will go to this cell in the top left corner and struggle with all sorts of shortcuts. I am not struggling. No shift control I am doing. I am using a shortcut which all of you know, but you will never use it here. That shortcut is called Control A. It's done. No, it will select the whole block. Done. Is it fully done? What is the problem? Travel is a problem, and January and Jan is a problem. So no problem, we got it as a pivot table now, so I will group it and tell Excel this combined should be called Jan, and these two combined, which are travel and travel, which is a spelling mistake, should also be grouped and called what? The correct spelling. And now I will remove the unwanted column and the unwanted row. Is it good? Now it is done. This is there for 22 years. Is it useful or not? Big use or small use? So if you find something so nice, it is a good idea sometimes to clap. So now what did we achieve? Tell me. We did it faster, agreed? Significantly faster. But this data was only few rows, few columns. In real life, is your budget so simple? It's going to be hundreds of rows, hundreds of columns, and many, many more sheets. Now your estimate of 1 hour is going to go for a toss. It can take 8 hours also. But if you use this method, it is still going to take 2 or 3 minutes. Understand the concept of efficiency benchmark. Small data, small effort. Large data, also small effort. That means you found the best method. Is this clear? So now let's say you saved 8 hours. Are you happy or sad? Happy or sad? Think again. What will you do for 8 hours? So even if you make the report in 2 minutes, don't send it immediately, send it after 8 hours. Otherwise you will get more work, or if economy is down, you may be retrenched because you are too efficient. So if efficiency is not benefiting you, then it's not called efficiency. There is something wrong there. And if I do something faster, should my salary increase or decrease? And what will any management think? Even if you start your own company, you'll say, if this guy is doing it faster, I should pay lesser, isn't it? So this is not a complete equation yet. This is not called efficiency. This is step 1 of efficiency. So let's see where the problem is. And even if everyone is saving many hours every day, will it automatically increase your top line or bottom line or profitability? We just save time. That's all. The work output is still the same. So it's not going to increase profitability also. So what is the point? The point is, this is just step 1. What did we achieve just now? The operational work has been reduced dramatically. So it has become like this now. Now the time which is saved can be utilized more effectively to do what our brain was waiting to do, manage the budget better. We have not yet seen that part, so let's see that part now. Now whatever I am showing you is new. So we got a combined sheet containing everything consolidated. Now the real brain work starts. I need to see the overall budget and see where I can optimize it. To do that, I will have to see the entire data together from Jan to December and all the expense headings. Can you see anything now, even if you are sitting next to the machine, because I have to zoom out to see all the columns? Can you get a quick idea of how budget is being used by whom for what? It's difficult. So what do you do next? What have you been told to do? When the data is difficult to understand, what do we do? Create a chart. Very nice. Is this a nice chart? So the chart is also not helping us. But I still want to see overall budget. How is advertising budget fluctuating across the months? How is employee benefits fluctuating across the months? Only when I get the overall picture I can go deeper and understand where is the problem. How do I see that? So there is a new way of doing that now. Instead of confusing ourselves with so many lines overlapping each other in the chart, we select an empty area here and ask Excel to draw a special kind of chart which is there in the new version, and you will see the benefit. So I am selecting all the data up to December and asked Excel to draw a line chart. Where is the chart? Which column has the chart? Now is it better? Without scrolling, without zooming out, we know exactly how advertising budget is fluctuating. Insurance, rent, lease, salaries, everything we see. Why don't we see testing equipment having a line there? Because all the cells don't have value. If there are gaps, it doesn't draw a chart like this. No problem, we can ask it to chart as a line. Instead of line, a bar chart. Is this good? Now obviously you would like to know which one is the highest expenditure. So we can say, okay, show it to me in a different color. Is that better? So now depending on how you want to interpret it, we can choose the correct format for it. And now with little effort, you will understand the data better. Agreed? Now I forgot to put this for grand total, overall budget. So what should I do now? Like a formula, I can just drag it down and it will calculate it for grand total also. Now what is it telling me? My overall budget maximum is being spent when? Which is October. And when is the least amount of expenditure happening? November. Does that sound logical? Does it sound logical? Depends. Now we found something useful from a business point of view. You are going to go and investigate. That is how your capability of utilizing the data better has improved. Do you agree? Yes or no? Now assuming we found some problem and say, oh, this is highest in Jan. I want to see what is the Jan number, 223 for employee benefits. What is the number for Feb? 99. Now can I compare this with this in absolute terms? Yes. But this is out of Jan budget and this 99 is out of Feb budget. A direct comparison numerically is not correct. What do I really need to compare it with? In proportionate terms to the monthly budget. Where is my monthly budget total? At the bottom here. Jan total is this, Feb total is this, March total is this. So if I want to understand monthly numbers better, what should I do? Percentage. So this should be 100 and this should be percentage breakup of that month. How will you do it? Most of us will put a formula here and then copy paste the formula. And what did I say? Whatever we think is wrong. Why is it wrong? Because you will do this and then something will get filtered here and you will get div by 0 errors. Then you will have to repair the formula again. So why did we put a formula outside? Because we thought Excel is not capable of showing me percentages on its own. We didn't expect that from Excel. That's why we had to help Excel. The situation is reverse. Excel knows exactly what you want, but you are not taking that help. It is capable, but we don't think it is capable. So now here is another method of learning while you work. Till now you were not expecting anything from Excel, but now you are realizing that it is smarter than you think. But I don't know what is the feature. How will I find out? Is there anything which can help me? You go there and right click and look at all the options. Have you seen these options before? May or may not be. Never mind. Read those options and tell me what sounds useful. I don't want to see actual numbers summed. I want to see percentage. Very nice. Show values as. And then I say column total. Done. No formula required. Now what can I say? Employee benefits 14% of Jan and 7% of Feb. Isn't that a better understanding? Is it good or bad? Now same way, I may want to see what is the, oh yes. Now I told you this is a new feature. This particular one is not new. This is there in 2003 also. Do you know where it is? When you right click in 2003, you will not see this option called show values as. You will see value field settings. In that you will see show values as. Nobody clicked on this. And then by default nobody opens this drop down, and even if you open it nobody scrolls the scroll bar. So if you go there, third last option in 2003 is exactly the same option. Percentage of column total. Is that good? Now what are we trying to do? Because Microsoft realized that nobody is right clicking here, going here, clicking there, dropping down, they said let me simplify life for people by giving that option directly. Did that help the world? No. Nobody right clicked also. Now notice it's not just column total. There are so many different ways of looking at the same data. And what is the benefit? Each point of view of looking at the data is going to give you something different which is useful. Understand the concept? So what does that mean? The same piece of data should be looked at from different points of view to get different business insights, and once you know something you will act on it. Fair enough? And this is what is going to make your life more enriched. So time saving, step 1, utilizing that time to do the real work in a better way is called productivity. So now what did we achieve? We didn't just save time, we utilized that time to understand and do the job better. So maybe at the end of it people were happy if you gave this result, but now you went further, gave this result. Will you be appreciated or will you be kicked out? Sure. But you have extra time also, and if you have extra time you do more work and still go home early, you are still going to grow faster than others. Agreed? So it is going to directly drive growth. So step 1, find out wastage of time. Step 2, find out the best way of doing it, save that time. Step 3, divide that time 70%, 30%. 30% invest in relearning more, because learning will give you more time. And 70% spend time on analyzing the data more. Don't just generate the report someone is asking for and send it to them. You do that. But in addition, you look at the data from different ways, find out more useful information, attach that finding also. Obviously you will grow faster. And if everyone does it, the organization grows faster. So now, to go one step further, this is easily readable or not? You have to still read 12 numbers to understand which is bigger, which is smaller. Can we make it simpler? So how many of you use conditional formatting? It's there in 2003. See, look around you, around 10% people. So what is conditional formatting? Let me digress a little and show you. Let's say you're an auditor and you're looking at various kind of data, and your job is to find out suspicious or abnormal transactions. These are all transactions, there is only the amount. And someone has told you anything above 95 is abnormal. How will you do that? I'll have to look at it one at a time like this. Select the cell, select the cell, select the cell, select the cell. I may miss something also. Is it a good use of your time? Hands or brain, remember. And even if you do that and you put a formatting there, job is not done. Why? Because if this becomes lesser, it's still going to continue to be red, and if this becomes bigger, it is not going to become red. So someone who is cursorily looking at your report, only trying to look at red numbers, will get misled. Do you agree? So every time number change, you'll have to repeat the process manually. So is this dirty work or good work? So dirty work should be outsourced to Excel. Today what we were doing, we were not taking benefit of Excel. We were asking Excel to select a cell. We were asking Excel to put red color. Excel did not know why you are selecting it. That was in your mind. So the condition under which it has to become red was not told to Excel. That's why it was your job. Why can't we tell the condition and the formatting to Excel? So select all the data. Go to conditional formatting. What is conditional formatting? Formatting which has a business meaning is called conditional formatting. And we say I want to highlight cells which are greater than, and then I specify the number. What is the number? 95. So Excel did the job. You don't have to worry. And tomorrow if this number becomes smaller, it will not become red, and another number which becomes bigger will become red. So many times Office does not behave the way you want because we don't communicate properly with it. It's a communication gap. And then we get frustrated. So this is called conditional formatting. This is there for 25 years. What is new now is a special type of conditional formatting, because I want to understand this data better. Is this better? So it goes through the numbers. This is the minimum, so smallest bar. This is the maximum, so biggest bar. Now you don't have to waste time reading so many numbers to understand what's happening. Good? Now there is a problem. Because you like it for Jan, obviously you want it for Feb, March, April, all the way up to grand total. That means I'll have to do it 11 times more. And if you had not attended this session, you would have happily done it 11 times. But now we know anything more than twice is bad. And Microsoft knows that you will need to do it. So that's why it is showing you that irritating icon. It says whenever your ambitions grow, tell me I am ready. Done. One click, it is applied all over the place. So, what did we achieve? We got data in bad format, still we could convert it and make sense of it very quickly. Now let's see different ways of understanding data. So now I am showing you how to analyze data quickly and effectively. So let's say this is a summary data, not very big. When you are looking at it, you are going to think, this product, how was it sold across months like that, correct? We know one method of looking at the data now. What is that? Data bar. How does it work? It looks at minimum, looks at maximum, and adjusts the bar width. Now if I change the number, now if I make 200 as maximum, it will readjust all the bars to reflect. If I put a negative number also, this will show it correctly. Is that useful? Visually you can understand the data better. But this is one way. Another way of looking at the same data is I just want to know when the business was good, when was it bad, and when was it in between. 3 categories only. That is called icon sets. Same data giving you different kind of information. How does Excel understand this? It still looked at the minimum 11, maximum 90, and then decided that is the range. I need to divide it into 3 pieces. 33%, 67%, 100%, and accordingly it gives color. Useful? Now if you don't want 33 and 67%, you can change that benchmark to adjust to whatever you want. Is it good or bad? Now there are many such ways of looking at the data, and most people don't know those pieces of data. So now in the new latest version, Microsoft did this. I have just selected the data. See what happened? That irritating icon came again. In older version, when you select data, nothing happens. Correct? When you copy or drag, this guy comes. But now even if you select something, this guy comes. More irritation. So now what is it saying? In spite of these features being there for so many years, nobody used them. So let me help people use them. When they select the data, I am directly showing them various ways of looking at the data. So you just move your cursor here and say, do you want to see it like this, like this, like this, like this, or do you want to draw different kind of charts? It is actually drawing live charts based on your data. Or do you want to put spark lines, which we saw earlier? It is drawing those also. So without you going to 15 different menus, it is allowing you to see the same data from different angle with zero extra effort. Isn't that nice? No, you don't have to clap so much, you will get tired after some time. So when you go back, will you look at Office with little more respect now? Okay, so now the next step. I'm sure all of you use pivot tables very commonly. So let me show you something there in pivot table. Let's take this data. Let's say we have type of city, amount, and what kind of business we are doing, corporate or retail. In each city we do some corporate, some retail. I want to analyze this data. How do I do that? I have this data which is going on and on and on. Scrolling it doesn't help me. I need to summarize it. And the fastest way to summarize it is making a pivot table. So first step, make it a table. It already is a table because table tools is there. So I make a pivot table. What happens when you make a pivot table? It shows you the fields and it shows you a blank report and asks you what do you want to do with it. So let's do a simple thing. Let's say I want to show city and amount. So it will do this. Easy? Yes or no? But I don't want to see individual city because it became too crowded. Okay, no problem. I will put type. So A city, A1 city, this is the amount. Now I want to break it down by city and business. So it's giving me corporate and retail. Both are being shown here. Very good. Now I want to know in each city what is the breakup of corporate versus retail. I can see that. But ideally what do I want? This is the total. This is retail, this is corporate. This is the total, this is retail, this is corporate. Can I compare this 299 with 940? I cannot, because this 299 is out of 672. This 940 is out of 1680. So what should I see? Percentage. But at this time, this should become 100. Because each class of city, I want to break it down. So right click, show value as percentage of row total this time. Isn't that nice? See this? Now it is showing me in B2 class cities, corporate is less and retail is more. Now whether it is good or bad, that depends on the context. You know what it should be. You have a particular picture in your mind. If it is according to it, fine. If it is not, you will go and find out why is it so. And that's how you will improve business. Got the idea? So now let's make a chart out of this. What am I putting? I am putting city, so many cities, and then I want to do what kind of business I do there. Now this is becoming, sorry, not this, type of business. So now notice what's happening. It's becoming very long. Correct? Let's draw a chart. If I draw a chart here, what will happen? Let's draw a simple bar chart. It's crowded, first of all, because of cities. And if I put business there, what will happen? It will become even more crowded. No use. Agreed? So now, in order to understand this better, Microsoft gives you a new way of creating or analyzing data. It is a better version of pivot table, you can say. So this is called Power View. Means a more powerful way of viewing the same data. It's not pivot table, it's something new. So now what is it showing me right now? It is just showing me the original data, not very useful. So I say, okay, make a matrix. What is a matrix? Matrix is something like a pivot table. So it is asking me what to calculate, what to put in rows, what to put in columns. So I will just put city in rows and amount. So what is it showing me? Same thing. Total amount by city. This is scrolling. If you want to see the overall picture across India, by the time you scroll to Z, you have forgotten what happened in A. Agreed? If I draw a chart, is it going to be very useful? It's still going to be a crowded chart, not very useful. So what do I do now? Can you see? I click on map and let's see what happens. Okay, let me connect. This is going to pick up your data, go to Bing Maps and actually draw a live map for you. Let us see how that is done. You don't need any special software. This is new version of Excel. So it is now going to internet, taking your data there, bringing it back as a map. Let me do it again with the connection. Insert power view, create a map, you see this? Is it good or bad? Now can I zoom in? Yes. Can I scroll? Yes, it is a map. So it behaves like a map, but the data is coming from your simple Excel data. We did not do anything special to draw the map. Now, each of these cities, what are we doing? Some retail business and some corporate business. I want to see the breakup. What should I do? I take the type of business and drag and drop it as color. So what happens? Each of them becomes a pie chart now. This is showing corporate, this is showing retail in that particular city. Here there is only one kind of business happening, so no pie chart. Isn't that nice? And now I can play with it and do various kinds of visualization very easily. Now along with this, I can also see something like this. This is the map and I am analyzing how my business works across the board. And I want to see another thing called type and type of city I'm in and the amount of business I'm doing in each city. So this is giving me what? A sort of a, I'll convert it to a chart. So what is it showing me? This is the chart which tells me which kind of city and how much business am I doing in that city. Fair enough? Now I only want to analyze class A cities. What should I do now? This is class A. This is the bar chart. I click on this bar, see what happens to the chart. Only class A cities are shown. I want to see what happens in B2. Only B2 cities are shown. Isn't that nice? So this is automatically filtered. Wherever you click, filter applies. Or for example, I click on only New Delhi here. What will happen? This is showing me overall chart of all the cities and it's saying only this type of thing is happening in Delhi. So whatever you do becomes an automatic filter. Nice? So this is the way the same data can give you more useful information. And imagine if this is available at street level where you can have ATM mapping, branch mapping, even individual branch manager, if they can see it geographically, they can make better decisions about what they do on a daily basis. So it's not only for analytical people who sit in head office which is going to be beneficial. It's at all levels. Any questions? Yes, sir. You can add more. It will add. Generally, map is very comprehensive. So, yeah, that remains. If something is not understood, then let's try. Let's go to the map and try. So I'll go to Mumbai. Okay, Mumbai is seen, Kalyan is seen, New Bombay is seen, all that. But let's say we'll put something else. Okay, now see what happens. Is it showing Mumbai? Yes. Is it showing Dombivli? No. Maybe there's a spelling mistake, or it didn't understand, or I didn't refresh. So here, Dombivli is here. Make sense? So generally all, at least town level definitely will be there. Village I am not very sure, but it's quite comprehensive. Okay, so let's go further. Any other questions? No, only 13. Now 13 has introduced something else. It's not only new, stylish, sophisticated features which are new. Some very simple things which are where we struggle all the time are also a part of new version. Let me give you an example. Let us say I have, as I told you, lot of time and energy gets wasted in cleaning up data, correct? So let's say I got thousands of rows like this. What did I get? Country and capital of the country. For whatever reason, I want only the country. I don't want the city name. What will I do now? This is what I got. This is what I want. Now to go from what I got to what I want is going to take a long time, because you'll have to put some formula there. You'll have to search where is the comma, take that length, and then write so many characters. It's going to be a complex formula. You could have done it using text to columns also. But then, why not do it this way? Excel says, let me simplify people's lives. You just type what you want. And then ask Excel to do the dirty work. No formula, no text to columns. Now in the third column I want Delhi. Okay, type Delhi. And again press Ctrl E. Ctrl E is the shortcut, but only 2013. Now many times we get name, surname, salutation separately. You want to send mail merge and to send it to a person. You want it in a particular format. Again you will struggle to do this, ampersand, concatenate, spaces, all that. Don't have to do. So now I am saying do it as doctor. I want a dot after that, and then I want Paranjpe first and then Nitin. Good. Now many times your account numbers, mobile numbers come in various different formats, and we struggle to find the correct one. See the same mobile number written in so many different ways. For each variation of the mobile number you would have to put a formula. Now nothing, it has done the job. So a lot of deduplication can also be done very quickly using this. Now see this is even more interesting. What do I have here? 3 columns now. And what am I typing? So this is a method of converting bad data to good data with zero extra effort. You just tell Excel what you want. If it can, it will do the job. And right now I am showing you few rows, but this will work across thousands of rows also. Okay, now let me show you something which you have and you are not using. As someone was telling earlier, we do a lot of data entry, correct? And that has to be cross-checked, because if you make a mistake, you have liability. So what happens? Even in branches, you will get a lot of paper-based data and someone has to enter it manually, correct? And then someone has to check it. Do you have such people? How many? So now let's say I am a checker. What do I have to do? I have to go to the data, and I have a paper-based version of the same data. Someone has done data entry. I look at the paper, look at the number, look at the paper, look at the number hundreds of times, correct? Is that process itself error prone? Yes. But you cannot have a second level checker. You don't have the manpower, so we'll live with it. And it's time consuming, it's boring. Apart from having hand arthritis, you will also have neck pain in the process. So it's literally a pain in the neck. But has to be done because it's compliance issue, liability. So would it not be nice if someone else comes, reads it out from screen so that you can directly focus on the paper? Yes or no? Yes. But do you have the luxury of calling someone else? As it is short staff and you are going to waste someone else's time. So what should you do? Put the speaker on, select the data and ask Excel to speak.
Product. Prod 1.
Now the speed at which you speak also is controllable, like this. You go to control panel and there is an option called text to speech, and there you can choose the voice also, male or female.
You have selected Microsoft.
And you choose the speed.
Microsoft Hazel
And then you select the data and ask that person or lady to read it out.
Prod 3. Prod 4. Prod 5. January. 46.99. 91. 95. 22. 3.
So now the person who is a checker never has to look at the screen. Concentrate on paper, do a faster, better job with no errors. So where is it in 2003? Where is it in 2003? Have you gone to tools menu before? Have you gone here before or not? How many checkers know this? Now you know, so it is in your interest to go back and make sure everyone knows it. But wait, have we solved the full problem yet? We have two kinds of people. What are they? Maker and checker. Whose problem did we solve? Maker or checker? But why is checker required? Because makers make mistakes. Why do makers make mistakes? Because when they are typing, they are not looking at the screen, correct? They are looking at the paper and they use the numeric keypad and quickly type things. Agreed? They don't have time to look at the screen. That's where mistakes can very easily happen. Understood? So can Excel help the maker itself? So what do you do now? We enable a setting here.
Cells will now be spoken on enter.
So I don't look at the screen, but I can hear. So as soon as I type, I am typing 23.
23.
I am typing 24.
24.
I am typing 25.
21.
So I will correct my own mistake. I don't need a checker. Yes or no? So what are we understanding? What we have been ignoring is extremely powerful. Alright, so any specific questions on Excel? A little bit of Word we will see now and PowerPoint. Very nice. I'm sure those who are using 2003 get frustrated because there are very few rows and you need to have more rows. So we have 1 million rows now. and 16,000 columns per sheet. 2007 also has the same number. But the problem is sometimes you use 2007 but still you get 65,000 rows. Why does that happen? Because your office is new but the file is still old. If you use an old format file, it is called XLS. New format file is called XLS. Now there are many problems associated with it. If you have 2007, you can create this file. But if you send this file to people who have 2003, they can't open it. Correct? So 2007 people are also saving file in old format. That means they are not getting all the benefits of new format. What is the benefit of new format? Many rows, many columns and many other features also. They are not getting that. So upgrade has not really benefited you. Why? Because if you choose new format, half the people can't read it. So Microsoft has thought of that. There is a free tool which IT should download, not everyone. There is a small download from Microsoft which is free. That should be installed on these machines which are running 2003. Then they can open the new file format also. Edit it, save it, everything. That solves your problem. And now when you store, suppose there was an XLS file which was 20 MB in size. If you save it as XLS X, it will become 10 MB automatically. It does compression internally. You don't have to zip it. So you will save on storage space also. I'll tell you. Yeah, with compression that will also get solved. But what you are asking is a very specific thing. One of the commonest reasons why files are large is this. Now remember, every cell Excel has to store, correct? So storing requires some space on the hard disk. So every cell, let's say, requires 1 byte to store. So if you have 1 million rows and 16,000 columns, those many bytes will be required. That means even if it's a blank file, it should be 16 GB file. But that is not how Excel works. If your data is small, file is small. If data is large, file is large. Correct? Why? How does it manage that? Because it doesn't store all the cells. Those cells which you have not even touched, why should it save? Because they are anyway blank. So it saves cells within a range. What is that range called? It is called the range between first cell and last cell. First cell is always A1. What is the last cell depends on how you are using the data. Suppose I type something here. What is the last cell now? C8. Oh, sorry, C7. Correct. Now if I type something here, what is the last cell? Correct. It is F7. But how do you know where is the last cell? This is a demo, so I know exactly. How do you know where is the last cell?
We compare the extreme of the row as well as extreme of the column.
Yes. No, Excel knows where is the last cell. If you want to find out what is the last cell in large sheet, how will you find it? Control End. That is the shortcut. And the menu from where you find it is go to special last cell. Understand? Now the problem is many times unnecessarily we select the whole column and put some formatting, or by mistake we go to the last row and type something. Then we realize the mistake, we delete it. Unfortunately, what is the last cell now? That is the last cell. So for 4 rows of data, we are forcing Excel to store 1 million rows. That's why the file size becomes unnecessarily large. This is the commonest reason why files which don't have much data are unnecessarily large. Because why this happens? Many times we select this and put border. Then Excel has to put that for 1 million rows and store those, although most of those rows are blank. So what is the solution to that? When you notice something, go and delete the unwanted rows and unwanted columns, and then save the file, close the file and reopen the file. Then the last cell will be properly set, and reduce the file size also. Understood? Okay. Now because you asked, let me show you one more reason why file size can become very large unnecessarily. Let's take one piece of data and see what we can do with it. So I have this data, I am deleting the other sheets. I just have some data which is, let me move this to another sheet. Fine, I have this data. Now I create a pivot table. So far okay? Now this is the pivot table. Pivot table is based on this data. Now I am deleting this sheet. Now will the pivot table work or not? I removed the data after making the pivot table. So now I have put customer type and segment. Suppose I remove both these and put type of sale. Will it work? It will not work because I deleted the data. No, it will work. It will work absolutely fine. There is no data now. All versions of Excel. Why does it work? Because when we create a pivot table, it makes a copy of entire data and keeps it with the pivot table. Nobody knows that. So every time you make a new pivot table from data, it is actually copying the data and increasing the file size by that much. So if you know that the data is right there in the next sheet, why should you keep a copy of that data in a pivot table also? That control is with you. What do? Right click, pivot table options, go to data and say do not save source data with file. This setting is there for 20 years. Nobody looked at it.
So this pivot table is one of another security risk also. Because when we send a pivot table to somebody outside our organization, the entire data is also.
Yeah, so you copy paste as values. That's why you paste it as values. That's fine. So if you say don't save the source data with file and then you try to do something, what will it say? Let's say I want to expand customer names. Right now I have not saved the file. If I save the file, close the file and reopen, only that snapshot will be shown, nothing else it will allow you to see. So if you are sending it outside, one method is to do this because at least some interactivity of filtering in the current view is retained. If you paste special as values, it becomes a hard-coded report. Okay, so let's go to Word quickly now. Now do you use track changes? Track changes. Do you use or not? Yes. And sometimes we enable track changes and send the file to some other party outside the organization also. Does that happen? They make changes, then come back, and then you will only look at the changes, accept or reject, and then the document is finalized, printed, and signed off. Common activity. Now, if you send this document to many people, when it comes back to you, what happens? What happens when the document comes back with many people having done track changes? Then what happens? It becomes clumsy. Why does it become clumsy? Because of a very simple reason. What is the reason? Anyone? What is the reason? There are so many people who have done colorful things here, you have no clue how the original document looked. Does that happen or not? Because it is so confusing, in the new version, Microsoft introduced a new feature. What is that feature called? You go to track changes, let multiple people edit it, but we want to see a simpler version of track changes. So what do you say? Simple markup. What is it called? Simple markup. So see what happens when I go to simple markup. All the track changes are not shown. What is it showing? Whatever changes were made, if you accept them, how will the document look? Understand? It has not accepted the changes. It is saying if you accept, this is how it is going to look. It has not deleted the track changes. It is telling you where there is a red line, there are track changes. You want to see them, click on it. It will show you. When you don't want to see it, click on it. It will go away. So it's a simpler way of looking at things. Similarly, if you want, comments also now are seen much better now. Better formatted. And if there is a comment, sometimes you want to comment on the comment. So you can say reply to comment. So you can actually have a mini discussion going on within the comment itself. Useful? Another situation is you send this document to someone, that someone puts a lot of comments saying do this, do that, remove this, add that, and then you go top to bottom reading the comment and taking the relevant action. Agreed? Now when you finish taking action, you don't remember have you finished acting on this comment or not. So now there is another feature called mark this comment as complete, and then this will also be marked in grey, so you can notice visually that this has been done. So there are two nice new features related to comments. But leave aside that is the new version. In the old version there is a big risk of using track changes. Can you tell me what is the risk? Very, very large risk. Again, operational risk. So here is a document. You have negotiated something with some customer. You are sending this document back to them for making changes. You will enable track changes, correct? And then you will send it. What is the benefit? Whatever changes are done are visible. That's what we want, correct? This was deleted, it is visible. This is visible. So far so good. Now if the other party is smart, what can they do? No, accept you will do when you get it back. If the other party is smart and they want to cheat you, what will they do? They will go to some places, make some changes which are visible, and then some place which they want to hide the change, what will they do? For example, let's say here there is a clause which says future upgrades free for 10 years. I don't want to give 10 years. I will disable track changes. Now tracking is not done. Now I will activate change and then send the document back to you. What will you do now? You will go to the beginning of the document. You know track changes is on, so you will not suspect anything. You will say show me next change. I will accept it. Next change, next change, next change. And what happens in the process? What happens in the process? Those 10 days is not seen at all. And then you will print it and sign it. And once you sign it, you are stuck. Agreed? Isn't that a risk? Yes or no?
Yes.
This you will not notice. So how do you solve this problem?
Compare the document.
वापस compare करना पड़ेगा, बराबर? So track changes didn't really help you. The reason we use track changes is to prevent comparing two isolated documents, and now after using track changes also you are comparing documents. Comparing documents is a lengthy process, so it's not helping us. So Microsoft has obviously noticed this problem and already given you a solution. What do? You enable track changes, fine, but you should be able to activate it. You should be able to deactivate it. The other party should not be able to deactivate it. That is what you want. So you go to restrict editing. In older version this was called document protection. Tools document protection in 2003. Then it says what kind of changes do you want to allow? Only track changes. And then say enforce protection and then put a password. And then don't give that password to the other party. Now changes are visible and the track changes button cannot be deactivated because the button itself is not available now. This is how you use track changes. This is also available for 14 years. Do you use it like this? No. Now what is the real problem? The track changes button was here. The restrict editing button was where? Far away from it. And then look at how many clicks I would have to do. Click 1, click 2, click 3, click 4, click 5, click 6, then type the password, click 7. Do you think anybody is going to notice this? It's too complicated. So what did they do in the new version? Instead of doing all this jugglery, they realized that for 14 years nobody is using this feature, but once people know it, they say, oh, this is very nice, why didn't you tell me earlier? So how to tell that earlier in a simpler way? So in new version, what did they do? Below track changes, there is directly a button called lock tracking. So in one click, you can just go put the password and the same activity happens much better, faster. And the chances of people discovering this is better. So new version doesn't necessarily mean new features. It means understanding the bottlenecks of previous version and simplifying the usage of it, so the benefit is actually accrued. If you have the product and you're not using it, the potential is there, but accrual is 0. That's called having an asset but not utilizing the asset. It's a non-performing asset in every way you look at. Understand? In fact, it is not even just an asset which is not performing, it's a liability, because whatever little you are using, that also is a misuse many times. So a classic example of that you will understand is in Excel, which everyone will appreciate. So sometimes we have data which is long. I cannot increase the width beyond a point, I can only increase it up to here. What do I do normally? Wrap text. How do I do wrap text? Right click, format cells, alignment, wrap text. Everyone knows this? Microsoft also knows this. Microsoft notice that this, amongst all these options, wrap text is used very often. So they said, why should we waste people's time clicking 5 times? So now in the new version, they gave the wrap text button right here. This is there in 2007. Have you noticed it? Some of you have, some of you have not. So Microsoft's attempt to make our life easier is wasted if you don't notice it. It's not a new feature. It is there ever since Excel is there. But the way you access the feature is now simpler. Now many of you must have got confused because you could not find the old buttons in new version. Correct? We mentioned that. Yes or no? So Microsoft made a nice tool for that also. You use this tool and this shows you the old version menus. For example, in new version it is difficult to find where is paste special. On older version we know where is paste special, edit paste special. Now new version doesn't have the edit menu itself. Where will you search? Initially some searching manual work is required, which is frustrating. So this tool you use and click on paste special. It will show you the ribbon and it will show you where to go to do paste special. No confusion. So you ask Excel, this was here, now show me where it is. Simple thing. You must not have found the page setup dialog which was here, file page setup. So now where has it gone? It has gone under page layout and that corner button. No confusion now, no frustration. You can easily find what you could not find otherwise. So this tool is freely downloadable. It is called Interactive Command Guide. Go to Microsoft website and download it. It is available for Excel, Word, PowerPoint, Outlook, all of them. That will simplify your migration from old version to new version. Useful? Now remember, old version had some buttons which were very convenient. New file, correct? Print directly. Those buttons are not there in the new version. You have to search for them. So how will I have to search? File, print, quick print. Now already I clicked thrice. Where is it called quick? It is slow print now. Now we have found this button. Next time, are you going to go to right click? No, you are going to wrap text from here. Agreed? But even that is not convenient. Why? Because this toolbar is under the home tab. If I see the button, I click it. But if I am on another menu, I don't see that button now. That's another problem with new version. Now I have to think and say which menu should I go to first, and then click there and then click on wrap text. Is that efficient? No. So what did Microsoft do? It gave some space on top here. Look at these buttons. Save, undo, redo. These buttons never move. They are always there. Useful? But what if you want to put your buttons here? So you right click on the button which you use commonly and say add to quick access toolbar, this toolbar. When you say add, the button sits here now. Now if you click on any menu, you don't have to waste your time. From here itself you can do it. So now what are you going to do? Those who are using 2007, when you go back, you're going to start noticing which buttons you use commonly. Right click on them and add them here. Soon you will have a nice toolbar here which will help you do the job better without wasting time, improving your efficiency. Now another common problem with this approach is that, let's say this is my file name. This is my toolbar. So I'm keeping on adding more and more things because I like it now. The moment I add it, what is going to happen? This get pushed. This got pushed. Soon what will happen? The file name will get truncated because there is no space. And now beyond a point you can't even see the full file name. This is a problem. So that has also been thought of. You right click and say show this thing below the ribbon. So now it moves from here to here. Now there is no problem and file name is not disturbed. Is it good? Now suppose you created a nice custom toolbar for yourself which is helping you improve efficiency. Who else will benefit from the same toolbar? People around you in the same department, they also do similar work. So how should you give this toolbar to them? That is also there. This is a new version. After creating a toolbar, we want to give it to my team. You go and say export. It will save a file, mail it to them. They can import. Then everyone gets similar toolbar. Everyone is more efficient. Nice? So that is how every attempt is being done to make our life easier, but we are not really noticing it. That's the problem. But now that you have started noticing it, every feature is giving you benefit. Are you understanding the concept now? Okay, so let's look at PowerPoint now for some time. Do you spend a lot of time on PowerPoint? Yes or no? Okay. So there are some very nice new things which are in PowerPoint. So let's understand, why do we make presentations? Does every presentation have some objective? Sometimes the objective is that the presentation has to be done. That's all the objective is. But yes, there is an objective. So the purpose of making the presentation is to achieve that objective, whatever that objective might be. Some presentations are external, that means to customers, partners, whoever outside the organization. Some are inside. Let's say it's 50-50. Depends on your role. But in either case, there is an objective. Now, how many presentations you must have seen in life? Thousands of them. How many do you remember? Very few. Why few? Because most of the presentations are very nice. Now when you are making a presentation, are you going to make a boring one or exciting one? That is up to you. If you don't think, that will also become boring. So what is the choice? If you are presenting, you are trying to achieve something. If you achieve it, you will succeed, you will grow. If you don't achieve it properly, it is hampering your growth. Correct? You are showing some new scheme to a customer and 5 other banks are also going to show similar thing. If your presentation is better, all other parameters being same, you will create a better impression or not. Even internally the same thing happens. So now we know 99% are boring. So when you make your presentation, what should be your objective? To be 99% or 1%? 1%. So what should we do? Correct? You know what makes it boring. So you don't do it and repeat the mistake in your presentation. Automatically your presentation will be slightly better than others. Makes sense? Common sense, absolute common sense. Now one of the most boring things in presentations is what? Bullets. Correct? And the first bulleted slide people see is what? And everyone in the audience has undergone so much torture due to PowerPoint in their life Everyone is smart enough, when they see agenda, they say, oh, 7 points means each point multiplied by 5. So now 6 into 5, this guy is going to bore me for 30 slides. So already your mind is falling asleep. So what should we do? Never show bullets. Whatever others do, you should not do. You are better. But if you still have to convey that information, how will you do it? Let's say we are talking about cards and performance for Q3, something like that. Okay. Now what will we do? 3 kinds of cards, let's say, and MX. Now rather than showing this, would it be nice if we show it as logos? Slightly better. If nothing else, this at least has to look more visual. What should we do? Right click and then say convert to smart art. So now new version gives you many ready-made diagrams. You don't have to create 3 boxes and align them and size them and put text in them. You type text in the most convenient way, which is called bullets, but then you don't keep it as bullets, you convert it to a diagram. 3 clicks, it is a diagram. Now are these same cards or different cards? Different. So I want to change colors. Now don't rely on your ability to decide which color looks good with what. Generally what you feel is good, people hate it, and vice versa. So Microsoft has said, why not give ready-made good looking color combinations to the world? So they hired graphic experts and the colors are automatically chosen for you. If you have a particular color scheme, you can even customize the color scheme, create a template and deploy it across the board. So any Bank of Baroda document looks similar, enhancing your branding and corporate image. And now we can also make it look slightly better, different 3D perspective, all that. Now the same diagram looks better. It's still 3 bullets, but it looks better. Useful? But let's say another way. I have the logos for all 3. Can I use them? So let's say I put an insert picture from file and I have those 3 logos. This is Amex and this is MasterCard and this is Visa. Done. Now these logos are small. I'll have to again resize them, align them, boring. So what do? Select the logos and then you see a menu here called Picture Tools and ask PowerPoint to do the job. What did it do? It automatically created a diagram arranging them correctly, but it's too small, no problem, we'll make it bigger and then it will automatically adjust everything. You just, if you want, you can put the text, otherwise forget it. You can remove the text if you don't like, because the logo itself is telling you the text. So you can remove the text, just put a space bar there, it'll work. So without any effort, you created this. Useful? So this is called picture diagrams. Similarly, many times we struggle to create organization charts in PowerPoint. Do you do that? So how do we make it simpler? You just type bullets and PowerPoint will do the job. So let's say we have CEO, then we have VP Finance, then you have VP Sales, VP Retail, something like that. AVP. Now you just type bullets, right click, convert to a diagram. Done. You want each level to have different color? No problem, it understands. You want to put animation and show each level one by one? No problem. Put animation and say level at once. So what will it do now? When you show this, it will show CEO first, then the next layer, then the next layer. So minimum effort and maximum impact is called PowerPoint. This is there in 2007, yes. That picture layout thing which I told you, where you first put pictures and then convert to a diagram, is not there in 2007. That's in newer version. So what am I saying? Is called, and how many diagrams are there? I just showed you how many diagrams are there. When you right click, convert to smart art, how many diagrams? Let me zoom in. Can you count quickly? 20. Yes, so most people in the world are not going to click on more. And you want to be better, so you will never use these 20, you will click on more. And now how many do you get? 135. So now depending on the kind of data or text which you are showing, you have to choose the right diagram in the right place. How do you do that? When you have never seen them, you will not be able to choose the right one. So do an homework where whoever has 2007, click on each category, look at the diagram and it will tell you when to use this. So this kind of diagram is non-sequential information. These are the departments we have. This kind of diagram. Now let's say we want to show 3 schemes I have in mutual funds and you want to talk about it a little, then this is the diagram. Let's say you want to show a process, step 1, step 2, step 3, then this is a good diagram. You want to show a process which gets completed more and more with each step. So this is 1/3 complete, 2/3 complete, full complete, like that. So depending on the kind of objective, for example, you want to show these are the ingredients, this is the output. Then you show this diagram. You want to say 3 departments have to cooperate together and do something. This is the diagram. So once you see it once, you will know what to use when. And then automatically you will use it in the right place. Make sense? So let's say you are trying to sell something, your new scheme, new product, something like that. So you say Bank of Baroda product and competitor product. You are showing a comparison. This thing has some advantages and you also have some advantages. Let's say the competitor has only 2 advantages. Of course you can show this slide. Is it looking interesting? No. So can we make it into a right kind of diagram? I will show you the right diagram to save time directly. Is this better? Now if the other party also has 3, what will happen? And then you add 1 more, what will happen? So it's smart. That's why it's called smart art. Understood? So use PowerPoint to your advantage. That's the idea. Now let's say, do you have to create a lot of training material internally? For internal training, external training, customer training, do you have to do that? And who makes it? Is there a central cell which makes it, or anybody can make it? Anybody can make it? How do you make it? In PowerPoint, correct? But generally when we do PowerPoint content for training purpose, the assumption is someone is going to stand up, show the presentation, speak and explain, correct? But the person who is an expert in that subject may not be available in every location all the time. But training requirements are always repetitive. So then what are we forced to do? We are forced to put notes with each slide wherever relevant and then put it on intranet. Correct? Now suppose I am a student trying to understand this presentation and I have to read notes also. Is that an easy thing or a difficult thing? If I just run the presentation, I don't see the notes. To read the notes I have to press escape, come back, read the notes, come back again. Very irritating. So is there a better way? So first time when the subject matter expert, so expertise is always sequestered. Few people have it. How to make a commodity out of expertise or reuse the expertise, that is the challenge when you are talking about creating training content. So what do? First time when someone is presenting, don't tell them to run it from here. Run it from here. Record slideshow. This is there in 2003 also. Now what happens? Whatever I am speaking is getting recorded. I can even point out to specific areas. This is 2010 onwards. This is a software laser pointer. This is the 3rd slide. And this is the last slide, which shows the organization chart. Now notice what happened. PowerPoint counted how long I was speaking on each slide. It timed it properly. It recorded my audio, saved that audio in each slide, and it has already automated that. So when I run this presentation next time, it is going to run like this. Whatever I am speaking is getting recorded. I can even point out to specific areas. This is 2010 onwards. This is a software laser point. This is the third, and this is the last slide, which shows the organization chart. Now notes are not required, and whatever expertise was captured once is reusable across the board, and no extra effort for the subject matter expert also. They just delivered a regular presentation. But now, if this was training for external agencies who are not part of your organization or customers, you can't guarantee there is PowerPoint. So what is the format which everyone can look at? Video. So now you go to export. This is a new feature, and say create a video. And now just asks you a simple question. Is this a high resolution video, medium resolution, or low resolution for mobile phones? To save time, I am choosing low resolution, and let's save it. So I am saving it as bovvideo.mp4. MP4 is a format which everything will understand. And now it will generate that video. Let's see what it did. This is the video. Whatever I am speaking is getting recorded. I can even point out to specific areas. This is 2010 onwards. This is a software laser pointer which shows the organization chart. So anybody can make better quality training content right from their desktop. No extra effort, no flash programming, no external agencies, low cost and high quality. Sorry. Wait. Audio recording is available for 20 years. The software laser pointer is available from 2010 onwards. The ability to convert to video is available from 2010 onwards. The ability to convert to MP4 is available from 2013 onwards. So as you can see, things are improving incrementally, but we are not benefiting from that improvement because we are not exploring proactively. That's the bottom line. So to summarize, I will show you the correct way of deploying this benefit across the board. Deploying the new version alone is not enough. Someone has to take the lead and make sure people use the product and features correctly. So what are the steps involved? There are 4 steps. What are the steps? First step is to make sure that the top management understands the importance of Office as a tool from a strategic point of view. We already have many senior people here, so that process has already started. Once you know that there is so much benefit, the next question you will ask me is, how do I deliver this benefit to thousands of people? We don't have the luxury of calling everyone in this auditorium and teaching them for a long session. So what do you do? As I have already told you, you create standard policies and procedures and then replicate them across the organization. Every day some useful thing is sent in a business applied manner by someone in top management, which ensures people open that mail. And a short video which explains. Short means 3 to 4 minutes. Nobody can say I don't have 3 minutes. And by reading that 3-minute video, people are probably going to save 10 minutes every day. So it's a self-sustained long-term activity which gives immediate and long-term benefit together. The third step, if you want to go even further, is to look at individual roles. Now in this room itself there are different kinds of departments. There is HR, there is IT, there is Treasury, there is ALM, all sorts of people. Everyone must be using pivot table, but the way procurement uses pivot table is different than the way a branch manager uses pivot table. So next step is to go to individual roles and then observe how they are using Office in individual business activities and teach them the correct way of doing it. That's same as business process re-engineering, but in this case we are applying it to unstructured work called Office. So if you do that, we can actually quantify the benefits. Here are the kind of benefits people get. This is from financial controllers in a bank in Philippines. These were the activities they were doing. Earlier that activity took 5 hours, now it takes 5 minutes. 24 hours, 15 minutes. 4 hours, 5 minutes. And of course the additional benefit of better decision making, better data analysis and impact on business. So this is called activity based optimization. And how that activity has to be done correctly is recorded as a video and made available to everyone. Another thing which you should do is, lot of data goes from head office to branches in terms of reports, but nobody tells them how to use that data, how to analyze it quickly. So along with every report you send a link to a video which explains that. everyone will benefit, because every person in the branch may not have the same level of skill on Excel. But if you tell them upfront, everyone is at the same level, and it is applied knowledge, because we are not just giving generic knowledge of how to use pivot table, we are applying it to that report. So it's going to have immediate impact. So that is the process we have to follow. So to summarize, what are we going to do? Till now, we were not noticing anything. Whatever we learnt in early days, we were just using the same thing, whether it is 2003, 7, 10, 13, nothing would have improved. It is like this lady who was a typist earlier with a traditional typewriter. Now she has word processor and nice PC, but her mindset has not changed. So what happens? The new technology does not deliver value. So today that is what is happening to Office. So actually we have not even scratched the surface of the real potential of Office. Now you know how to do it. So just don't use it superficially. Go deeper, and then when you go deeper, you are not going to drown, you are going to grow. Understand? So what is the process you follow now? When you go back, you are not going to ignore. Correct? Whichever version you have, you are going to explore. When you explore, I have already told you how to explore with nobody else helping you, you helping yourself. Then you will learn. When you learn, you are smart enough to apply it to the correct business context. Then you will share it with inefficient people around you. Correct? In the process, teach them this process so that they can also explore something else, apply it and teach it to you. So it's a give and take. And then everyone grows together. That is the power of Office. Thank you. So please fill the feedback forms before you leave.